proceed with the lecture. Okay. Can you all hear me? Okay. So this chapter will focus on how plants make their own biological molecules through photosynthesis. And we are going to see the role of enzymes in each step. And we are going to see how the plants use the properties of biological molecules to survive, right? And first of all, we need to see what photosynthesis is. Okay, so we know it is a process by which plants they make carbohydrates from raw materials using energy from sunlight. Okay. Also, there's a question that why do plants need food? So why do plants need food? Because we know all organisms need food, and we know that all organisms they need food as a source of raw material. So that to build new cells and tissues for the body. Other than that, they need a source of energy. Source of energy is needed to carry out chemical reactions and sustain life. Right? So we know that the food is an excellent source of food provides both the energy as well, energy that helps in metabolic reactions. And then, okay, can you hear me? All right. So it's energy that is needed for metabolic processes. And then we have the building blocks that are for growth and repair, right? Now, what is food chemical? Now, such as carbohydrates. We know that the carbohydrates, such as glucose, that is C6H12O6. It contains, very good, Mepsam. It contains carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, right? And these elements come from where? We get these elements from carbon dioxide that is in the air and water that is present in the soil. We know that we need proteins as well. Proteins are needed for, they are needed for growth. Now proteins, they require nitrogen, right? And that nitrogen comes from, it comes from nitrates and other salts in the soil. Okay. Now we can get back to photosynthesis. So we can also say it is a process by which the plants they manufacture carbohydrates from raw material using energy from light. Now we are going to get back to our lecture. So this was photosynthesis. We just studied that it is a process which the plants from which the plants manufacture carbohydrates from raw materials using energy from light. And we know that the green plants, they make glucose, right? And they make glucose from the raw materials. And what are those raw materials? Those raw materials are carbon dioxide and water as well. So we have carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen in carbon dioxide and water. So we say at the same time, oxygen is also made. Oxygen is made and released as a waste product, right? So oxygen is it serves as a waste material for plants. We know that we have a green pigment in plants. That green pigment is called as chlorophyll, right? And that chlorophyll, what is the significance of chlorophyll? Yes, Noman, could you answer me? It absorbs light energy from the sun, right? and that is going to providing the energy that is needed for the reaction to occur, right? Okay. Can any one of you tell me that is light energy also a raw material? Let's get back to the lecture now. We have to see the okay, Mepsam. That's okay, and it's good that it is cleared now. Now we have to see the photosynthesis equation. We know that we have carbon dioxide plus water, and then we have the light energy or sunlight, and that chlorophyll, and the products that will be formed are glucose plus oxygen, right? So this word equation shows the raw materials and the products for photosynthesis. And the additional, like here, the energy and the chlorophyll are just like an additional requirement. Very good, Mapsam. Now, now this carbon dioxide. Here we have the water. So where does this carbon dioxide comes from? We know that it diffuses into the leaves through the stomata, right? What are stomata? Zulkarnain, can you tell me what are stomatas? Okay. So there are guard cells present in the leaves, right? Here are the guard cells. And this tiny pores that are present inside these guard cells, they are called as stomatas. Okay. Now, where does this water comes from? We know that it is taken up by the roots and transported through the xylem to the leaves, right? And this glucose, so this glucose is used to make the substances needed by the plants, right? And also we know that it is used in respiration as well to release energy. And this oxygen, we say it diffuses out of the leaf through the stomata and it is used in respiration as well. Is that clear? Okay. Now we can see the light energy. We know that this light energy is obtained from the sun, right? And first it is converted into chemical energy in the bonds holding the atoms in the glucose molecules, right? Now we can have a look at the balanced chemical equation as well for photosynthesis. Okay. So the balanced chemical equation is 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O in the presence of light produces glucose, that is C6H12O6 plus 6O. Okay. So you see that the chemical symbol for the glucose is C6H12 and O6, right? And it is enough to provide atoms of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen to produce glucose. And okay, now that was enough. That was all for photosynthesis. Now we have to move towards the next topic, that is role of chlorophyll. So what actually a chlorophyll is? Yes, Metsam. No, wait a minute. Numan, yes, could you tell me what chlorophyll is?
Ma'am, it's the structure of plant that absorbs the light energy from sun.
Okay, it is a pigment that absorbs the light energy. Very good. The parts with stems. Okay, very good, Mepsa. Okay, Zulkarnain, do you want to say anything about chlorophyll? Okay. So see. Here we have a chloroplast, right? So actually, chlorophyll is a green pigment that is found inside the chloroplast, right? And it is the pigment that gives plants their characteristic green color, right? Due to this pigments, the plants they appear green. We know that this chlorophyll it absorbs light energy, right? And then transferring that transferring it into stored chemical energy, and that in the bonds of glucose molecules. And then we know that this glucose that is produced during photosynthesis, it can be converted into other carbohydrates, and those carbohydrates could be either starch or sucrose, right? We know in case of animals, the carbohydrates are stored in the form of glycogen, while in the case of plants, it is stored in the form of starch. Is that clear? Okay. Now we have to see the use and storage of carbohydrates. Any question till here? Okay, fine. Okay, before proceeding with the um, use of carbohydrates, storage of carbohydrates, we can see something like few more points about starch and sucrose. We know that the glucose is used in respiration to provide energy, right? So this glucose is first quickly converted into when that glucose is made. First, it is converted to quickly converted to sucrose, right? And then it is transported around the plant. Now, we know that if glucose is not immediately needed for energy, that means that we do not need immediate source of energy. So that glucose is stored in the form of, it is converted into starch. But why we, why starch, why not glucose? So the reason is that starch is insoluble, right? As it is insoluble, so it doesn't affect the osmotic balance of the cells, right? And as glucose is soluble, it is soluble, and also high concentration. One point is that it is soluble, and the other point is that high concentration of glucose could damage the cells, right? Now, where is that starch stored? Where do we store that starch in the body? So that is stored as grain in leaves, stems, or roots, right? Or in special organs. Those could be, you can say, special storage organs that are suppose potatoes, tubers, and it can be stored in fruits as well, right? Such as grapes. You know that grapes, they contain up to 25% sugars, right? Okay. Any question till here? These were some basics of the chapter plant nutrition.